Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to round 12 of the F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live from Monza, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But just 5 rounds to go now of the season, and we're just starting to wonder whether this car has got the legs to make it the whole distance there. We're currently 32 points back behind Valtteri Bottas in the Drivers' Championship. You'd argue it's still probably a 7-way fight for the title. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton finally getting Ferrari's first win of the year last weekend at the Temple of Speed with the Italian Grand Prix. But yeah, we've only scored points once in the last 3 Grand Prix there back in Belgium, whereas Bottas, yeah, has been pretty consistent right the way through this campaign. So we need to start trying to take points out of him, but the likes of Lando, Norris and Max Verstappen as well are really, really quick. However, Singapore last year was the one that got away. This should have been a Grand Prix that we won last season, and unfortunately couldn't quite make it happen at the end of the day. So I'm hoping for some redemption this weekend, and maybe, just maybe, we can get our second Formula 1 Grand Prix victory. Well, like I said then, this track, one of our best that we had in Season 1, really did suit the car. However, this season, car characteristics have changed a lot. We seem to now fare slightly better on the higher speed circuits. Monza, I want to believe, was a little bit of an outlier because we never seem to get any luck taking the car back home. But yeah, we just need to be trying to score big points week in, week out between now and the end of the season. We have got those back-to-back sprint weekends in Qatar and the US still, which hopefully should allow us a potential for a few extra points. But pretty much between now and the end of the season, we need to be outscoring Bottas week in, week out. And hopefully the likes of Verstappen and Lando Norris as well. Purple through Sector 1. I want to try and get pole. It's always difficult to tell just how good a car's going to feel around Singapore before you get into qualifying. But so far, this lap has felt like a pretty decent banker. Definitely still some time left on the table then, as at the final corner. 29.4. Only good enough for P13 there. Hulkenberg immediately slots in right behind me. But Verstappen down in 11th as well. Well, in a series where fine margins have been the story all season long, we are 8/10 slower than Lando Norris as we get ready to start my second and final flying lap here in qualifying. Yeah, this new shorter style session really has given everyone an opportunity and has left a lot of mixed up grids, so I'm looking to try and carry that forward perhaps in F124. But yeah, we've got to try and really push on now on our second lap. We want to try and start inside the top 10. Qualifying pace in the second half of this year has been nowhere. So hoping we can try and have a better run here, as Hulkenberg now has gone quicker than me. At least surely we've got to find another few tenths, as once more purple through Sector 1. That time around, though, struggling to find the apex at the end of the Raffles Boulevard, but it is so important that you roll on the throttle here. Don't pick up any wheel spin and try and get as close to without nudging the walls. Half a second up now. So the lap is starting to come together there as we hop over that curb. Yeah, really just trying to lean on the car, building up confidence, just working out how much you can push there. Slight snag of the brake as we go over the Anderson Bridge. But come on, we're still half a second up here. There is the opportunity for something pretty special right at the end of qualifying in a car that has struggled so much to deliver on one lap pace. We find just that little bit more as we make our way down the new back straight here. Do really like this new layout here in Singapore, but just a few more corners to go, then nice and tidy over the curb in there. Front end tries to push out through the penultimate corner, but we are finding time round the final corner up towards the line. Is it pole? I think it might be. Well, I told you that it has left some surprises this season, and I think for the first time since probably about Austria, we have finally qualified inside the top 10, and it is pole position here for the Singapore Grand Prix there. Myself, Lando and George covered by less than a tenth of a second in the end there. Valtteri Bottas will line up on the second row ahead of Tsunoda and Charles Leclerc, but really springing a late session surprise there. Hulkenberg only good enough for P16, and yeah, the new kid on the block, Enzo Fittipaldi, only down in 22nd. But this gives us a huge opportunity, a huge fighting chance. Let's try and convert this into, at the very least, a solid podium finish. Quickly though, before we get into this video, I want to thank all of the names you see on your screen. Without their continued support of the channel, none of the work we do here would be possible. And if you want to get your name featured on this list, you can click the join button or click the Patreon link down in my description below and support the channel from just £1 a month. You will also get access to weekly updates about everything going on behind the scenes, and also occasionally some early previews on videos. So yeah, a massive thank you to my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters, and let's get back to the video.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Firestarter lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Bottas, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Hülkenberg, Joe, Ricciardo, Ocon, Théo Pourchaire, Liam Lawson, Iwasa, Gasly, Enzo Fittipaldi. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Joining me on this very wet day is a woman who very much came prepared. Nice wellies there, Nats. Natalie Pinkham, how would you say the wet weather experience differs between Formula One and perhaps some other forms of racing?
Mastering these conditions is a massive challenge. To cross the line in one piece is no mean feat, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle it.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
It was just a single point we scored at the Temple of Speed. Nico Hülkenberg, I really hope that 1 point doesn't come back to haunt me at the end of the year. But yeah, looks like we've got similar conditions to what we had last weekend in Monza. But clearly the game feels this time around it is worth starting the race on a set of the full wet tyres here. So looking forward to this one. Hopefully we can keep it clean and tidy and maybe get these inters to the dry period. But yeah, with Lando Norris and George Russell in hot pursuit, things are about to get interesting. 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. Can we get a good second phase of traction? Yes, we can. And Lando Norris will tuck in behind then. No, he won't. He's going to hit me. What on earth is that through turn 1 there? Lando Norris, I think that was. Yep, has just gone through the back of me there. We'll try and rejoin the circuit at turn 3, and we will get the run on him. Basically trying to simulate where that bollard would be on the outside of the corners. What was that by Lando Norris? We watched him make a mistake last weekend, and clearly this time round, he felt like doing a bump and run off of turn 1, as Bottas now will move up into P3 ahead of George Russell, so both McLarens making moves. But let's go take a look at that. Well, let's ride on board then with Lando Norris for the start of this Grand Prix. The 5 red lights are going to come on then. He's not really going to bother with many revs, but he's going to react pretty well then to the lights. And as we kind of slowly both move into the middle on the run down in towards turn 1, he's just simply going to misjudge his braking point there. We obviously get fired off through the first corner. And well, Lando Norris now with easy view in there. You can see we come back into the shot. And we are immediately going to try and hang him. But yeah, Lando Norris, the bump and run tactic on lap 1. Coming back to the action though, Lando Norris clearly struggling on lap 1. Maybe has given himself, I think he has got front wing damage, which is very, very useful for us then. So he's going to have to peel into the pit lane at the end of this opening lap there. And maybe has ruined a good shot at some big points this weekend. You've got no idea how well the AI are going to be able to cut their way back through the traffic later on, especially in these conditions. That is not going to be easy there, as Lando Norris is still trying to play defensive from me. He's pretty confident on the brakes though on this opening lap there, but we want to try and get round him before we get in towards the final couple of corners here, as through the new section of track we go. Again, we'll try and force him defensive again. We'll go late on the brakes around the outside, even more contact. That time round, I think we can take some of the blame there. I might try to turn in a little bit earlier than we should have. But by the end of lap 1 then, Lando Norris peels into the pit lane. So Valtteri Bottas from 4th on the grid up to P2 there. You can see through those final couple of corners how much time the AI lost as Lando trying to navigate his way into the pits. Well, I always like to mention it when we see it, but 6 cars from 6 different teams making up the top 6 early on. I mean, it goes to show how crazy this season has been when I've said that countless times. But already it's looking like Bottas and I just got a little bit of pace in the back pocket over the rest of the field there. George Russell already now 4 seconds behind. But I want to try and break free from the second McLaren car. Once again, they just seem to be a cut above the rest. Well, as Formula 1 Grand Prix go, you don't get many tougher than a wet Singapore Grand Prix here, but we are just keeping Bottas at arm's length at the moment. Feel like we've got a couple of tenths in the back pocket over him if we need it. But yeah, George Russell is reliably losing 2 seconds a lap early on here, so it's probably not going to be long before Lando Norris gets back in that train. For us though at the front, the rain, we don't really know when it's meant to stop.
At least 20 minutes of light rain. Inters seem to be the fastest tyre for now.
This might end up being a little bit like the Italian Grand Prix last weekend, although everyone is actually on Inters, where the rain kind of lingers around all day long. Very, very odd little conditions, and bizarre that we've seen it 2 weekends in a row. Well, tyre wear as well, of course, last weekend ended up being quite a big point of concern for us. Yeah, no question in my mind, though. We are absolutely going to have to one-stop this race at the very least. But it's kind of, do you try and go long? Do we see if there's going to be a dry period later in the afternoon? Or do we just kind of pit at a half distance and really not worry about it?
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 20.8 seconds.
I mean, already very early on, we're probably going to be able to pit and get out ahead of George if he's going to continue being this slow. Not if I drive like that, though. Well, if anything, George Russell is simply proving to us all just how difficult it still is to overtake on this new version of Marina Bay. 18 seconds now that gap up to is just absolutely ridiculous. I think we need about 22 if I wanted to pit and get out ahead of him, so that's probably only going to be a couple of laps away. Have we got any update on the weather?
Inters look like the best tyre for now. Wet tyres
Oh, okay.
confirmed.
Sorry, I don't want wets. Yeah, so I reckon we're getting closer and closer to the end of the rain, because the team are only telling me now that the Inters are the best choice, not what the weather is doing. We're pulling out 3 seconds a lap over Hulkenberg because he's still stuck in that George Russell train. Lando Norris has actually closed back in on that entire group of cars now, but I still feel he's going to be a little bit screwed over in strategy by the end of the afternoon. But in the nicest way possible, I do hope this is the most boring Grand Prix you will ever see, because if that means that we get a nice win, then we will absolutely take it here. Redemption for last season, and hopefully, yeah, start clawing back the points against Bottas once more. But yeah, at the moment, I'm just starting to get a little bit nervous about what's going to happen with strategy later on. I think we've got to try and stay out just that little bit longer and try and go to the dries. But will the track even dry up? Monza is in the back of my mind. Oh, rear tyres are starting to go a little bit. That's the first proper scary little moment I've had so far this race. As well, this one has basically just been the Max Verstappen simulator so far. Like 10-second gap now over Bottas, 31 seconds over George Russell. But at the moment as well, I'm still not sure whether Bottas will even get the jump on the likes of Russell and co behind. So I'm tempted to box now, see what the gap's going to be, and then really kind of go from there. Because if we can force Bottas into potentially pitting slightly earlier than he wanted to, that could really be useful here as we make our way through the final couple of corners then. We've done pretty well on this first set of the tyres just to keep things out of trouble as the rain is still falling here. Definitely want to make sure I don't get done for speeding in the pit lane. That would be so unnecessary at this stage of the GP. But yeah, there's a very, very long pit lane here in Singapore and a very slow pit lane as well, as Bottas then will finally take the lead of the Grand Prix. But yeah, no!
Okay, mate, that's it. Go, go, go. Perfect.
I cannot believe that.
And the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
I cannot believe that. I'd set up softs.
One stop left in this strategy.
I'd set up soft tyres for for when, later on, if the rain stopped. I cannot believe I've just done that. Bottle Job 212 strikes again here, ladies and gents. And now, I mean, do we pit again? Do we just try and hang out here on this set? That is so apocalyptically stupid. Let's monitor the gap to Valtteri, though. It doesn't feel too bad. I think we've got to stay out here. I think we've just got to try and stay out and make this work. It is way too early onto the dries, but we cannot afford to pit again and end up in all the traffic. Well, I tell you what, we've got to brake slightly earlier into the corners, but honestly,
the track's going to be drying out quite soon. Be careful you don't burn out your tyres.
When you think, obviously, we had 12 seconds in the back pocket to Bottas, this might not actually be the end of the world. It's not ideal, don't get me wrong, but I think as we start seeing other AI into the pit lane quite soon, look at that, yeah, their tyres are gripping up.
6.8 seconds.
We are starting to get a little bit of purchase out of them, and the gap to Bottas isn't jumping up too badly. Well, as the rain now stopping then, the gap to Valtteri has barely gone up this lap. Like I said, I still don't want to speak too soon, but I might have accidentally nailed this here.
Strange readings from a couple of the sensors, so I don't think you need to be worried, just some bad data, so keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
And why would you tell me that, Mark? Just let me get on with it, let me do my thing, because we are on a wet track dry tyre challenge, and so far it's actually working for us. We've taken time out of Bottas this last lap. Well, both Ferraris then appealed into the pit lane, but pretty much no one else has, so I don't know whether they're going on to another set of the Inters. I don't know whether everyone else is trying just to take the try and get their already worn-in set of Inters to the dry period. The other thing I've got to consider, though, is we are definitely going to have to pit again here before the end of the afternoon. So even if we are quicker than Bottas at the moment, we've still got to be a lot quicker if he instantly goes to the dries. I think, yeah, the rain has now stopped. The crossover period is pretty much here, but 2 seconds quicker than Bottas on that lap 3 laps ago. I thought this Grand Prix was over for us. Oh, how quickly it can change in the world of Formula 1. But yeah, we're bringing this gap down now ridiculously at the moment as Russell into the pits.
20.2 seconds.
I think we're starting to see AI switch to dries now. But yeah, where will Bottas re-emerge? Oh, Bottas finally in. So Bottas has called it a day on those intermediates. What tyres is he going to go on to, though? Surely it's a set of dries. But which compound is it going to be there, as we are going to retake the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix? Let's see. He's on another set of Inters. Valtteri Bottas might have thrown this one away, as he's gone back to another set of the intermediates here. Meanwhile, we're going 3 seconds a lap faster on a set of the dries. What on earth is happening here in Singapore? No one knows what to do. There we go. TRS has been enabled. TRS has been enabled. It is definitely the time for the dry tyres, as Bottas is going to have to peel back in, as well as a plethora of other cars here. He's been very, very lucky that he's been able to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz still.
DRS is now online.
We are going to have to box again on about lap 22, lap 23 here to take another set of softs to the end. But I think Bottas, he was given a lifeline, and McLaren have instantly gone and thrown it away. Now what is concerning me, Bottas has come back out of those intermediate tyres, and he's now 2 seconds a lap faster than me again. So I've got no idea, really, what is going on with the strategy anymore. I thought we'd hit a gold mine, but Bottas has not given up, as everyone else behind him peeling back into the pit lane then. So there's going to be some opportunities here for other drivers to get a good result. But Sainz, he's onto the dries now, so I think everyone is following suit. But will Bottas get undercut? Oh, we got yellows. We got yellows. I think there's a roadblock by the Ferraris. Is that going to be a red flag? Yes, it is. A Ferrari, of course, a roadblock here. What on earth has happened? Well, Charles Leclerc then making his way down in towards the tricky technical section of this lap. So he just tips it in on a new set of the intermediate tyres there, but slightly offline. And he's going to go for a spin. And Lewis Hamilton, nowhere for the Mercedes driver to go. And that is going to create a roadblock then between the two Ferrari cars here. Is anyone else? Yep. Sergio Perez there in the Porsche gets caught up behind it. And that is going to be a red flag. Well, this suddenly has really turned this race on its head again then, because everyone else is going to have a free opportunity to move over onto a dry set of the tyres. That has saved Valtteri Bottas here late in the afternoon, but onto a fresh set of the softs will go. Leclerc now with a penalty, 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go once again then. Leclerc's now got a 10-second time penalty, but he is going to get a lightning start there as Bottas has gone nowhere down in towards turn 1. I got no idea what's happened to him. We've got more yellow flags out, as I think an Aston Martin is breaking down off of the restart there. And suddenly Valtteri Bottas given a lifeline, and immediately that has gone away from him, as I think he's down to about 9th place here. Perez is up in a P3 in his Porsche, so no idea how he's managed that, but we are just trying to run free at the front of the field. Charles Leclerc with a 10-second penalty. Had he not got those penalties, that would have been the ultimate lifeline for Ferrari as well, as it looked like neither of the drivers were going to be able to score points here. But chaos off the restart in Singapore, and suddenly we have got a huge lead once again. Let's ride on board then. Valtteri Bottas off of the restart. 5 red lights come on. And Bottas gets a really good first phase there, but can't go anywhere after that. So cars are going to stream past him as we go down in towards the first corner. He will hang on to about P7 there, as even Théo Pourchaire will get around his outside through turn 2 and turn 3 there. So a nightmare restart for Valtteri Bottas in this Grand Prix, and suddenly what looked like an easy P2 at worst is going to be a tough old fight towards the end of the afternoon. Well, George Russell now up into P3 then, so Porsche's podium dreams have immediately evaporated here. That's not going to help me out either. Front wing damage as we make our way through the final couple of corners, and more front wing damage than I'd really anticipated. We will claim fastest lap, but we're going to have to really manage that then towards the end of the afternoon. I guess for Leclerc, he's hoping that Perez can hold up everyone else behind. So hopefully that 10-second penalty isn't going to be so costly. Ugh, Charles Leclerc there, big dive bomb down at the hairpin. So he clearly wants to get on with it this afternoon. I'll get the power down back around the outside, but was not expecting that by the Ferrari driver. Hamilton, of course, took their first win last weekend out. Charles Leclerc wants to do the same, but even if he does get by me, he's got to pull out 10 seconds before the end of the afternoon. What worries me is that might be possible for the Monegasque driver. Oh, Charles Leclerc again down the inside at turn 1. We'll just try to keep it between the white lines, but we have not got enough there to defend from the Ferrari. And up into the lead he'll go then of this GP. We'll still try and get a run back down the Raffles Boulevard, as DRS now has been enabled here. Are we going to be able to try and get a run back on Charles Leclerc? Look at the speed we've got as we make our way down the straight. It is so nice to have a car that is competitive now in a straight line. But the one I'm really worried about has got to be George Russell here. He was nowhere in the wet period, but clearly Mercedes have given him a dry setup, because now he is flying along. Did we get more damage there? Luckily we didn't. Is Charles Leclerc still going to have a look down the inside? Yes, he is, and you've got to be so careful, because the AI will hit that inside wall and ping back into you. 6 laps to go at the Singapore Grand Prix. Is Leclerc again down the inside? What is this by Charles Leclerc here? He is giving it everything late on in the afternoon, but we want to try and hold on to track position, because I just fear if he gets away, we're not going to be able to stay with him there, as we'll chop his nose off on the exit the corner. And once again, we will hang on to this lead, but all this battling at the moment is really, really hurting Ferrari, because of course the more cars that stay close by, the less chance Leclerc's got at even scoring a point. Oh, Charles Leclerc again. 5 laps to go. This time around he's going to again get the run to the inside of me. And again, there's not a lot we can really do in towards that first corner, but we've got to try and stay close there, as George Russell wanted to have a look. We've got to try and keep Leclerc close by, though. I mean, for his sake, of course, he'll just want to try and run free at the front of the field, but he's also the only car I can even let by towards the end of this GP there, as we use plenty of battery as we make our way down the Raffles Boulevard. But last season, it was a Lancia penalty that led to a Ferrari win. Will the tables turn this season? And in 1 lap then, Charles Leclerc has already opened up a 2-second lead here, so that is really scary for us. We've got to desperately try and keep George Russell at bay now as we head back down in towards turn 1, but this kind of fighting is not going to do either of us any favours. And I tell you what, this race is not over for Charles Leclerc. That gap now instantly 3 seconds. What on earth is this? Towards the end of the Grand Prix. Sainz now making a move as Russell into the pits. George Russell into the pit lane again. What on earth has happened down at Mercedes late on in the day? And this now means that Sergio Perez might have a shot at a podium still this afternoon. Leclerc, though, 6 seconds clear already. What on earth is in the back of that Ferrari? Wonder if Charles has taken a little bit too much out of his tyres. The gap now 7.7. As you can see, Carlos Sainz now having to look to the inside of us down at turn 1. And Sainz, there's nothing we can answer against him. Can we try and get a DRS run back up in towards turn 3? Sorry, up in towards turn 6 even, I should say. I cannot believe this race is going away from us. How much bad luck can we get when we're in the fight for a victory here? But what this does mean, of course, is unless Leclerc can keep pushing on at the front, Sainz now might end up being the winner of this Grand Prix. And I don't believe he's won a race so far this season. Maybe has taken one for Red Bull. One more lap to go then of the Singapore Grand Prix, and I cannot believe once more this race is going to get undone late on for us. Here now goes Perez. So Sergio Perez now is going to move up into the podium places, and just clearly starting on the restart on the soft compound tyres was not the way to go. Porsche on for a mega result this weekend. Théo Pourchaire as well, running up in P6. But I just don't know where Leclerc's going to end up in all of this. We've got to get a run down the back straight. But here comes Yuki Tsunoda. Was battled with him on the Monaco streets. Now apparently we're going to do the same here in Singapore. But we've got to desperately try and defend on for all our worth late on in the day. This is going to be a ridiculous result. And, well, a half distance. I'd wished for the easiest race of my life. That has not happened in the end. And once again, opportunities to win a Grand Prix are going to go begging. But simply put, I just don't think we had enough dry pace here to match the likes of Leclerc or Carlos Sainz rounding the final few corners of the Singapore Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc is going to win it on the road, but for the second year in a row, the driver who takes the checkered flag is not going to be the one that wins the Grand Prix. For the second season in a row, it looks like it is going to be Carlos Sainz here as we make a bit of a mistake down the back straight. We're going to be side by side now with the second Porsche car of Théo Pourchaire. Charles Leclerc will win it on the road, but it is going to be his old teammate, Carlos Sainz, through the final couple of corners, who is going to win here in Singapore for the second year in a row. And for us, it's only good enough for P4.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly deserved win. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
For me, today, the race was the perfect blend of thrilling overtakes, but also looking after those tyres and really making the stints last just that bit longer.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they secured here. After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
Carlos Sainz would be my first choice for this race. He had excellent race stamina, giving him the opportunity to charge through the ranks.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Another team that will be satisfied with this Grand Prix is Alfa Romeo, whose good result moves them further up the championship. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, what a ridiculous race then here from Singapore. Carlos Sainz, 2 years in a row. Penalties are going to allow him to win this one. Charles Leclerc P2. Porsche get their first podium of the season there with their return to Formula 1 by courtesy of Sergio Perez there, with Teo Porcher not far behind, just behind myself there. Tsunoda beats out championship leader Bottas. Williams Lamborghini score a handful of points as well, beating out Verstappen and Esteban Ocon there, with Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, probably the two big shocks, and George Russell unable to score a point this weekend, with Magnussen and Hamilton unable to even see the checkered flag there. That means as we take a look at the Drivers' Championship, well, Carlos Sainz now certainly within contention there, 4 points clear of his teammate Max Verstappen. 5 drivers covered by just 26 points with 4 races to go. This one is really, really heating up at the moment there, and the gap between McLaren and Red Bull in the Constructors, 9 points. So I feel like that is going to be a fight that goes down to the wire there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. I will be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it.